Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Season 4 here. Based on popular request, which we'll show on the screen right now, we'll have it. It's Armour Break Dragon. The absolute random card that appeared in Seal Dragons Unleashed. It made a huge impact on people's lives when it was shown in the anime instead of promoting Sweep Command, because Steve needs no introduction, and this quickly spiraled into a very out of control testosterone campaign that has now manifested itself once again in VCall 5 and 6. But I decided there's a lot of me and Narukami this set. I mean, I'm releasing 3 Narukami videos straight away for this one set. No, I should give others a chance. So today we have Fade the 4th.
I love Narukami.
I don't think so. So today we'll be covering this deck. It's really simple. It's really focused around Armour Break Dragon. But what does it mean to be focused around Armour Break Dragon? To be focused around Armour Break Dragon basically means that the deck has to operate by itself, because Armour Break works as your big one-time, one-shot finisher to end all games. Like, if you pull this skill off and you win, you pack up, you walk up, you take the VMC trophy, you go home. It's the end of the story. But if you don't, then you go back to your locals and you tell people that you're a bad player. So today we are actually playing a very unique Armour Break deck. It actually plays a very, very unique core that allows it to play itself pretty well on turn 2, and then after that you can go into Armour Break as a main boss. I've seen deck profiles online which talk about how they need other alternative rights, so they resort to stuff like great composure and whatnot. Personally, I feel this technique to be quite stupid, especially because of the fact that you actually do need Armour Break in the center at all times, just ready to strike, and the rest of your deck should not be reliant on what do I do next. No, you need to be more proactive rather than reactive, because if you want a reactive deck, you should be playing better decks in general. So today we are going to be building around Armour Break Dragon, and when you see the core, I think you'll be quite surprised. We'll start with the Great Trees. The Great Trees is literally just for Armour Break Dragon. No introduction. His skill is really straightforward. You just pay Counterblast 3, your entire opponent's front row rear guards are all bound, then you gain 10,000 power and plus 2 critical for every open front row rear guard circle. Yes, it is deadlier than Gauntlet Buster. At what cost? But it's just a really great skill because it's not targeting at all, so even if it resists, everyone just goes. A lot better from its original skill, because the only big drawback you suffer is CB3, but hey, this deck does not use Counterblast. Second skill is, when you have 4 more damage, this is your limit break skill, he gains additional 10,000 power and your opponent cannot call Sentinels to the Guardian Circle during this attack. So if you're wondering, oh, he just gets big, they're PG. No, you can't. And you physically cannot call Sentinels to the Guardian Circle from your hand, which means if you're Gurgit, you just pay Counterblast 1 and Superior Call Mark. Alright, but beyond that, yeah, it's a pretty fun boss. People do advocate taking him into stuff like Vanquisher and Dungaree in order to have a nice finish, especially because neither deck uses that much Counterblast. I feel it's fine. It's a nice finisher, so you could potentially do it, but to build the deck around Armour Break is something like this, and I feel it's a lot more fun and worthwhile. Moving on to the Great Tools, we play 4 copies of Eradicator Spark Rage Dragon, 3 copies of Martial Arts Dragon, as well as 3 copies of, this is Koban, I believe. So let's break it down.
So the reason why you're playing Eradicators in this deck is because Armour Break as a boss unit is the PG or die, or in this case, normal guard with your whole hand or die boss. So the mentality of it is now is that, okay, if your opponent is going to use all the cards in hand to guard your center column, unless they're the force matchup, then force or protect, they might need quite a lot of their hand, but not their whole hand. Then you also need to make sure that you give them a reason to pressure on the rear guard circle also. That means that they want to waste their cards for the rear guards, and then they won't have enough for the center column, which is the one big final finisher, which is paramount in a Armour Break focused deck. So Spark Rage Dragon on place on Vanguard Circle gains 5,000 power at the end of turn, and it looks at the top 5 cards of your deck. You add 1 Eradicator from among them into your hand, you shuffle your deck, you discard 1 card if you added a card. So this is a whole consistency engine that revolves around him as well as the other Eradicator Searcher Nozuku, because a lot of the Eradicator cards actually have on hit pressure, and it forces your opponent to really reconsider, do you want to let center hit, or you want to let the right, or you want to let your rear guards hit, because no matter what, there will be severe consequences no matter which they choose. And I know this is not bowing, but they have to make some difficult choices as well. And now of course, Spark Race, as alluded to, Vanguard Circle, when this attack hits, so +1 to draw a card. So if your opponent lets it hit, you'll have a higher hand size than Big Belly. So yes, very good. And about of course, since Armour Break, not yet. Okay, so but of course, since we have so many things with on hit pressure, your opponent is gonna try and guard all of them. And what happens when your opponent guards them? Well, Martial Arts Dragon comes in. Martial Arts Dragon has a skill, Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 1. When placed on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, you choose one of your opponent's front row units, bind it. You'll never use this skill. This skill is just there
just in case you need to stop early aggression, but it's so overcosted you just
but
not use
on
it.
Rearguard Binder he has another skill, which is the Vanguard or Rearguard Circle. Every time that your attack does not hit, he gains 5,000 power. So you can imagine your Vanguard is gonna swing, and if they don't guard it, they die. Your Rearguard Circle will swing, your Spark Race will swing. If your opponent guards it, if your opponent doesn't guard it, you get to draw a card. So of course your opponent's gonna guard it. And every time your opponent thinks, oh, I'll just guard the attack, then he gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you can stack some crits on him, your opponent will have to actually resort to either wasting a PG, which they could have used for Armour Break, because one of the strategies to stop Armour Break is to just keep you at 3 damage, so you can just PG the attack. Or you force them to use their big shield, like their triggers, their heal guardians, their normal 15k shield, which then they can't guard Armour Break. So it's sort of like a little circular engine that your rear guards benefit you because they force your opponent to guard. Your Vanguard benefits you because you force your opponent to guard. And every time your opponent guards, Armour Break Martial Arts gets even bigger, and then your opponent is either forced to guard it because they have 5 damage, or they have to take it. Then there's a guaranteed 1 damage in every turn. So yeah, Martial Arts is very good. But there's only 3 because you only need to see him like once or twice a game, and then he will be quite sticky on the board. So just make sure you guard him and make sure he's there so that you can pressure your opponent. We also play I think it's Green Tan. I think it's a lightning cannon eradicator.
This lightning cannon, yeah.
Yeah, lightning cannon eradicator Corson. So Corson basically, okay, I will admit Corson is just here just for his name. His skills actually do not matter at all. His first skill is when he's boosted by the Grade 1, which is lightning cannon eradicator.
Lightning pistol.
Lightning pistol eradicator.
Combine awesome, yeah.
Awesome. He gains 3k. So it becomes a 12k beater, and then when boosted it becomes 20k. So that's a pretty good magic number column against force. But that's good for force number. And he also has the ability that at the end of the battle that he attacks, if you have a lightning pistol eradicator Orson in the same column as him, you counter blast 1, you bind the entire column. That means your units, your Corban and Orson, as well as your opponent's entire front row and back row unit in that 1 column, and then you draw 2. How about a grid? Wow. But mainly you only really need 3 copies of him, because you can search him out using Spark Race, you can search him out using Luzuku. So because he's an eradicator. So we don't need that many copies of him, because other than being a 23k beater, and you're never going to use the second skill because you want to save your CV for Armour Break. So you really only need him for the force matchup, and other than that, he doesn't really do much. So we don't need to play that many copies of him. And now we move on to our Grade 1s. Grade 1s, we got a lot to talk about. Grade 1s, we play 4 copies of Mighty Bolt Dragoon. We play 4 copies of Eradicator Demolition Dragon. We play 4 copies of Lightning Pistol Eradicator Orson. And we play 4 copies of Isolation Eradicator Nuzuku. And we play 3 copies of 3 copies of everyone's favorite Grade 1 Rising Phoenix. So Phoenix, we'll just get Phoenix out of the way.
Let's look at the whole thing. So you have
Nuzuku,
you have Mighty Bolt, you have Demolition, you have Orson, and you have Rising Phoenix. So straight away you see that's a lot of Grade 1s right there. So let's break it down.
So the reason why we're playing so many Grade 1s is, as we said, Armour Break is a deck that just wants to one-shot that wants to try as much as possible to one-shot the opponent, and to do that, you have to be able to survive until you get to 4 damage, or you survive until your opponent runs out of cards to guard. Then that's why we need so many 10k shields in hand, so that we can last until then, and then we're able to just punish our opponent by being able to guard through their final turn. Then they're out of cards to guard already. Then basically it's an auto win at that point. So Rising Phoenix because we bind cards and because it's Narukami, so it's a free plus. It's always appreciated. When called from when a unit is
When opponent's rear guard is bound.
No, when your opponent's card is bound, when the card is put into the bind, one of your opponent's card is put into the bind zone, you call it from the drop zone to the rear guard circle and it gains 3k until the end of turn. So free plus is always good. Then we play Lightning Pistol Eradicator Orson, which has the same skill as Korban. Is that if you have the grade 2 in the same column, he gets 3k. So this column is actually 23k, which is why I said it was good against Force, because 23 is a magic number. I love Dragon Empire. But the reason why we play the duo is because of his second ability, is that when Lightning Cannon Eradicator Korban is placed in front of him, counter charge 1, and it's not once per turn. So if you have multiple Korban and you're probably don't need that much 5k shield for the next turn, you can actually just repeatedly call over the Korban, so you can CC2, CC3 in one turn, and you basically repaid Armor Break's cost just like that.
Even if you don't, it's still a pretty good skill to just have a free CC lying around as long as you fulfill the condition. Always you gain Korban and Orson around.
Especially since a lot of people have actually recommended to play Helena in this deck, but Helena only lets you counter charge if you have no face up counter blast. Whereas
which means you'll never recover 3 CB.
As this has 0 restriction on it, so this is far more likely to actually refund you back the cost rather than playing Helena.
And it works in Eradicator cost, so why not?
And we get searchable searchable as an Eradicator. And speaking of searchable, we have played 4 copies of Isolation Eradicator Nuzuku. So Nuzuku has the ability that when it's placed on Vanguard or Vanguard Circle, look at the top 5 cards in your deck, you add 1 Eradicator from among them into your hand, and you shuffle your deck. And if you add a card, you discard a card.
Yep.
So because I also like Spark Race, but unlike Spark Race, this is basically just there so you can search out all the Eradicator engine that we run in this deck. And all of them are important. Spark Race is important for the on-hit pressure. Nuzuku so that you can chain more deck thinning. Demolition will get to later. And Korban and Orson for the counter charge and the good column number. So Nuzuku, because we play so many Eradicator, he is a must in this deck. So yeah. Then of course we play the star booster of Narukami now. Eradicator Demolition Dragon. When his attack or the attack that he boosted hits on Vanguard or Vanguard Circle. No, hits on Vanguard or Vanguard Circle. Draw a card, and
you can move into the soul.
You may move into the soul to choose one of your opponent's drop unit. Choose one card in your opponent's drop zone and bind it.
Mm-hmm.
So turning every single column on your board into an on-hit draw, combining him even with cards like Spark Race, or cards like Armor Break. Your opponent is doubly sure that they want to guard everything, and then that gives you more options to pressure them out of their shield, which is what this deck wants to accomplish. And other than that, it's searchable as a Eradicator. So
yep.
Yeah. And of course, since we play only 4 grade 3s in this deck, we need Mighty Bolt Dragoon. So his ability to gain 5k power is Thunder Strike. So during your turn, if a card was bound by a card ability, he gets 5k. So your 13k booster, he searches you out your only grade 3 in the whole deck, other than your Heal Guard. But so really good.
Yep.
Yes.
Moving on to our grade 0s and triggers, we play 4 copies of our Heal Guard. We play 12 crits and a starter.
Yes. So the rationale, I know this may seem absolutely crazy to you to play 12 critical triggers in a deck that already gains 4 crit. But the thing is that 4 crit on a 1 crit unit is still only total 5 crit. If you're fighting a force match, let's say you're fighting Luat, the number one needs 1 CB to win that. You have 0 margin for error to try and give him that CB. So why not you just prank your opponent and you make him so that even if he foolishly takes that first Vanguard attack thinking that he needs the damage, right? You can just pull a crit and then now he's gone from 0 to 6. So that is also one thing. And also, because we play so many Eradicators that search each other out, your pieces actually can flow quite easily without needing so many draw triggers. Would I recommend to play draw PGs? Yeah, you can. I would definitely recommend trying draw PGs in this deck. You might even want to try 6 draw. But as for now, I've tried this deck. It's actually quite comfortable with 12 crit, and it does actually psych a lot of opponents that think you're playing lots of draws, and they get too comfortable thinking that, I can just take the Vanguard hit, I only go from 0 to 5, and actually they go from 0 to 6. And heal guards because self-explanatory. This deck wants to survive until your opponent physically cannot guard. So if it takes 4 damage in the early game, as much as it would be nice to just take 4 damage early game, swing at your opponent, they cannot PG. Most likely your opponent's gonna be ready for that, and if they know what deck you're playing, the deck's an early grave for you because they'll just guard the attack next turn, you'll have 4 damage and you lose.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that wraps up the Armour Break Dragon deck profile. It's really simple. I mean, it's really quite straightforward on what it's supposed to do, and it works because the Eradicators are something with some great early game, and you also get pretty good hands, and you also get the ability to countercharge, which basically is just everything Armour Break needs. Armour Break himself is your one-shot finisher, so that's really all you can say. Thank you all so much for watching. We are still in VCall season, so if you want to see some more decks, just let me know in the comment section below if I've not already covered it, or if I'm going to cover it, then you'll see it soon. But if not, then it's a no. We've done so many VCall decks at this point, so yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Long
you.
live Narukami.